the position that they've taken, for example, on defence spending of not committing to actually boost defence spending this side of the general election, I think they will come under intense pressure on that, and that may well not hold. And that, of course, will have knock-on consequences for programmes which Labour MPs perhaps treasure more.
And let's take a look at some of the day's political stories with Times Radio presenter Adam Boulton. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let's talk defence, because that has been top of the docket this morning. Who do you think Andy Burnham is trying to persuade here with a plan that is announcing not really that much new and not much money extra from what was already there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's already been a commitment to build this new generation of dreadnought nuclear submarines. I think he's doing really a message to his own party, basically confirming his own commitment to the programme. And remember that Wes Streeting, John Healey and Louise Hay, his closest advisor, all voted against this programme in the Jeremy Corbyn years. So I think he's sending a message to them that this is the Labour programme, and of course that's a message to the country. And there's an attempt to link it to reindustrialisation, obviously, announcing or re-announcing perhaps that there are going to be some apprenticeships in Barrow-in-Furness related to this. But this, I think, is primarily about positioning him as the leader of the party, and with that, positioning himself, positioning the party as well.
Do you think it's just a lot of peacocking? Because at the end of the day, for Andy Burnham to make any substantial changes to defence, you might argue that there needs to be a mandate from the people, there needs to be a general election, certainly another budget. I mean, talking about it now, is it just a waste of airtime?
No, because I think what he's doing is saying, you know, what everyone assumes, that Britain will continue to be a nuclear power dependent on technology that it gets from the Americans, is what he supports. And I think, you know, it is important to make that statement, bearing in mind that previous Labour leaders did not support that position. And it's not so long ago that Labour actually had an official policy for unilateral nuclear disarmament. So I think he wants to send out a message to his party and the country that Labour's in the mainstream. I mean, that may be boring, but it's probably worth doing.
Yeah, OK, let's make some very valid points there, and I suppose we'll see how this rumbles on. We've seen so many announcements from the government over this last week, every day a different topic, and I suppose we'll see what happens. Adam, do you expect that to slow down now, or do you think this is kind of just the initial week of excitement post new Prime Minister, or should we expect more of the same next week?
Well, we've not been put on notice to expect more of the same. We were, when Andy Burnham took over, told that there were going to be a series of announcements. First of all, the retail announcement, and then the more substantive ones. I think things are going to get progressively quieter as we work towards both the Labour conference, but even more importantly, the budget. I mean, the position that they've taken, for example, on defence spending of not committing to actually boost defence spending this side of the general election, I think they will come under intense pressure on that, and that may well not hold. And that, of course, will have knock-on consequences for programmes which Labour MPs perhaps treasure more.
OK. Moving on, hundreds of migrants are trying to cross the Channel. Is this a problem for Burnham, even with the drop in migration rates?
Yeah, it is clearly a problem, but I think it's remarkable that the fact that with the weather of this summer that the crossings are up. I mean, they're talking about 1,000 people crossing yesterday, which would be a record, I think, for this year. But it's not really making the news headlines, and I think that's partly because we're familiar with it, and that is in spite of the best efforts of Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, who's recording videos on the coast. It's also frankly, Reform UK have problems of their own at the moment and are not really able to concentrate on this issue convincingly. But on top of it all, Labour can still say that with the tougher measures being introduced and proposed by Shabana Mahmood, that the number of crossings has gone down quite dramatically to less than 50% of what it was as its peak.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've been having very intense conversations about assisted dying in this country. What difference do you think it makes that Andy Burnham isn't necessarily prioritising this, certainly that we know of?
Well, I think it makes a big difference, frankly, for the legislation. As we know, Lauren Edwards, a Labour MP, did well in the MP's Private Members Bill ballot and is reintroducing this measure. But I think the message which we got from Andy Burnham yesterday, that he thinks that assisted dying should only be introduced once palliative care and social care in the community is fixed, was a clear indication that this one now is being very much kicked into the long grass. The Starmer government, Keir Starmer was personally warmly in favour of assisted dying. The government went out of its way to make time to get this through, even although they said it was a free conscience issue. I think Andy Burnham is in a different position. I mean, first of all, West Street, I know he's now Defence Secretary, but when he was Health Secretary, he said it was premature to introduce assisted dying. And I think it is significant that Andy Burnham is the first cradle Catholic British Prime Minister, and we know that the Catholic Church has strong views on this matter. So I think there is a real vibe shift at the top of the Labour Party on this matter, and that will significantly dampen the chances of assisted dying getting through, certainly this side of the general election.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And finally, Adam, before I let you go, we were talking just before about whether or not the politicians should be on social media, obviously given the furore around Zach Polanski and that image that he reposted. What's your thoughts on that?
I think they got no alternative. I mean, the reality is very interesting piece by Tom Culver in the Sunday Times last weekend, just showing that younger voters, the under 30s, whether we like it or not, we frankly, Times Radio don't like it very much, they are getting their news predominantly on social media and on social media feeds. So a politician has to connect with that section of the electorate. Andy Burnham is proving competent at it. Before that, Nigel Farage proved competent at it. And the politician that can't do this is missing out on a sizable chunk of the electorate. So, I've certainly been caught out on social media, getting the things wrong or retweeting something that I might regret. But if you don't do it, then a politician, or indeed a modern day journalist this day, is going to miss out on a substantial section of the audience.
Yeah, you make a valid point. It's almost redundant because it's here to stay, and I can't imagine any politician willingly opting out and having less of a platform perhaps than their peers, their competition, their colleagues. Adam Boulton, thank you for talking us through the political stories of the day. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.